Hey everybody, welcome to the Age of Reason podcast, where we are not for the faint of thought. This is Mike, and I'll be doing an interview with AJ, and we're going to be talking about the kind of the climate of the entertainment industry, film in particular, and kind of how that's playing into our political climate and the climate of our culture in this country. And we're going to get some interesting perspectives. So, without any further ado, how's it going, AJ?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for coming on. I'm excited for you to enlighten us on points of view of somebody that's been involved. With a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about, kind of give a perspective that the average person maybe not be able to get on their own.
Right, right. Well, when you first approached me about it, just sort of being a filmmaker, there's sort of a unique perspective that I have about some of the political esque racial stuff. Uh, you know, just sort of, being a black guy, and I think there's a lot of confusion as to like what's real and what's fake and what's like even realistic, for lack of a better word. So I thought this would be a cool time to sort of like talk about that stuff and shine some light on some things that I think a lot of people probably aren't even thinking about.
Yeah, definitely, and as you pointed out, and as a black filmmaker, I mean, if you're finding some of this confusing and intriguing, I mean, me as a straight white male, this is what I love to do is to get perspectives from people that as far as what I am and what you are on paper, black male, that sort of thing, is to take advantage of learning from these perspectives and practicing some empathy here. So, if you're good to go, we'll go ahead and get started. I'll get the first question out here.
Yeah.
So, as you mentioned, you're a filmmaker. What film, or has there been a film that's ever made you kind of change your outlook on life, whether that's politically, whether that's family wise, or just the way you look at things? I mean, we're going to start it off light, so we'll begin with that question.
You know what? Probably the first thing actually probably wasn't a film. It was probably a TV show. It was called Welcome Back, Kotter. Uh, and that was where John Travolta started. And that sort of I didn't know anything about anything, and I had to find out from my sister that John Travolta was not just like a cool guy that they followed around, that was an actual job you could go get. And then, so that was like the very first thing that sort of made me want to dive into the entertainment industry because it suddenly with that knowledge it became accessible.
And by job, you're not saying the job John Travolta had in the show, but the job of being an actor.
Well, that's the job he had in the show. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
because
I haven't seen the show. Give me a little
yeah.
synopsis, just in case the listeners
Well,
don't know what this is.
so this is an old show I used to watch in reruns called Welcome Back, Kotter. It was like way back in the '70s, and basically it was about a teacher who moved back to his hometown to teach, and he had these kids in his class. They called them the Sweat Hogs, and one of them was John Travolta, and he was this like really dumb but also very cool kind of character, and I just thought he was cool. And when I was a kid, I thought that everything on television and in movies, I thought it was I thought that was reality TV the way we have it now. I thought they went out, they found somebody cool, and they just followed them around with cameras. I didn't
Gotcha.
know it was a job. So when I found out it was a job, it kind of opened everything up to me. So that was how that started. Then we're talking movies. You know probably the first one was The Thin Man, was starred William Powell and Myrna Loy, just because William Powell is maybe the greatest leading man ever in the history of ever. If you don't know who he is, Google him, Wikipedia him, look him up, treat yourself. This dude is like and sadly mostly forgotten, unless you're an old movie freak like I am.
Yeah, I consider myself to be a bit of a film buff. Like I know more film history and probably seen more films than the average person my age. I'll be 31 this summer.
Right.
But like, Welcome Back, Kotter. I never watched that. I knew but I knew the trivia. I knew John Travolta started there. But yeah, that's definitely interesting. I mean, when I was growing up, it was Robin Williams and Jim Carrey. Those were the two that
There
uh,
you go.
where I made that discovery, like watching the first Ace Ventura and Mrs. Doubtfire,
Right.
and later on in life I discovered Dead Poet Society and
Right.
all that. So the show and the movie that you mentioned didn't so the outlook it changed for you was it kind of told you, oh wait, this is a job, this is
Yeah.
an art form and a
Right.
skill that can be acquired and learned. And so the view that it changed for you was, this is what I want to do with my life.
It was that, and it was also just the idea that this is not the lottery, that you have no idea how it works. Like this is a business. It operates in a specific way. It operates in a certain way. You can learn that. You can become a part of it. That's what that did. Now after that, obviously, I got into like other films and discovered more of the craft and who I wanted to be as a filmmaker. What's funny is a lot of the films that I love uh, don't have any black people in them, and that's a problem for a lot of black people.
I would assume, especially mentioning that in today's climate.
Right? Yeah, it's a thing. Well, because here's the thing: the problem is that everybody's so caught up in this racial stuff that you know, you know, everybody loves when Martin Luther King Jr. Day comes around. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Martin Luther King." Everybody who's like shouting for him has completely forgotten what the fuck he was saying. The man said, I want to be judged for the content of my character,
Right.
not the color of my skin. Now we got people that are defining themselves by their paint jobs, and they're pissed off when you actually look to make yourself your own personal identity.
Oh,
That has nothing to do with your fucking paint job. But that you can't say that. You can't say that because
no,
then
no,
you're
you
wrong,
cannot.
right?
You're not being progressive
Now
and
you're lost. Now you just a lost brother who doesn't understand, and you're like a slave to the white man. And it's like, well, I don't get it.
well,
Like, do
more
I have
specifically in Uncle Tom, right? I mean that would be
right,
the word for that. You're Samuel L. Jackson from Django.
right,
He's staying in the
exactly.
big house. Well, that brings me to
well,
my next question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just because you mentioned Sam Jackson, he's just been in the news. There's a film that's out right now called Get Out. Now I haven't seen this film, but
Jordan
apparently,
Peele. Yeah.
yes, Jordan Peele's new film. Apparently, it's got all kinds of racial overtones, and it's a black dude, and he goes home with his girlfriend who's white and
Yep.
their family, and they got black servants and whatever, and some sort of I don't know what it is. I haven't seen it. Frankly, it's
From
been a year.
the interviews that I watched, I'm a big Key and Peele fan. I loved
Yeah,
their show on Comedy Central. It
they're
was a
hysterical.
great. Yeah. Oh God. Especially Jordan. And so I'm not a big horror movie guy. I would probably never watch this movie, except that it's made by Jordan. So I'm not going to see it in theaters. I'll wait till it comes out. But from what I saw, from an interview with him, racism, I guess, is the villain.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. So you were saying about Sam Jackson?
Well, Sam. Okay, so the guy, the black guy, the star of the movie, he's British. So Sam Jackson, who's not in the movie, doesn't have shit to do with the movie, was being interviewed about another movie that he's in arbitrarily for like nobody asked him.
Mm-hmm.
He just decides to say that Get Out would have been better if it had an American black actor or an African American, if you will,
What?
instead of a British actor, because since the film is set in America, it would have had more resonance with quote a young brother unquote who has lived through that.
Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, you're aware of what little filmmaking, acting, improv, directing experience I've had, but and it's been very very little, especially compared to yourself and other people in your circle. But that's like saying, uh, you know, I'm a huge Led Zeppelin fan, and part of that is because I'm a drummer, and I think, in my opinion, John Bonham's the greatest drummer of all time. So that would be like somebody coming out and saying, you know, the Zeppelin would have been a bit better if they had a black drummer. Am I reading your point correctly here? Because you know, acting like music is an art form.
Yeah, but that's more like, okay, so they're both equally ludicrous.
Sure.
The difference is what he's attributing the quality of the film to is racial and nationality identity. To have a black drummer in Led Zeppelin, you know, he could have been a British black drummer. It would have been great. Might not have been different. You know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But what he's saying is, you know, here's a guy who grew up in Britain, so he didn't grow up in America, so he can't relate to prejudice or racism in America,
Yeah,
which
but
is
but
dumb because black people won't shut the fuck up about it all around the fucking world. Everybody understands what racism black people go through. You can't not. They won't stop telling you about it. Every time you turn around, somebody's explaining to you how they've been like, you know, ostracized or like and it's not just like people that you don't know. It's people like Oprah who like did an entire episode of a show about how she went to the Hermes store in Paris or Milan or whatever,
right.
and when walking into the store, and the person that worked in the store shook her finger at Oprah, and Oprah wasn't allowed to go into the store. Turns out, the true story was Oprah tried to go into the store after business hours. The place was closed. The woman said, "You can't come in," not because she's black, not because she's Oprah, because the store's closed. She wants to go home, get a drink, right?
Right.
But what happens? The store, the owner of the store, the designer himself, wrote a note of apology to Oprah for this, fired the woman that told Oprah that the store was closed. So essentially, she got fired for doing her job because she did it to Oprah. And then Oprah got invited, open invitation. If you ever want to come to the store, please let us know. We'll shut the whole thing down for as long as you want, and everything you want is on the house. Now, Oprah's the richest woman on the planet.
Yeah.
So if Oprah's complaining about racism, what hope has anybody else got?
Well, I mean, I it's hard for me to speak on that. I totally see your point. What I will say about Oprah that recently pissed me off, and I meant to bring this up in our episode earlier this week, and I don't want to get into politics yet. Let's save the heated shit for later on, you know, story arc and all that. But, you know, speaking of Oprah, though, I mean, she said during an interview last week that, you know, people have always said Oprah for president. She said, and now Trump's elected. And she's like, oh. And she said, oh, that was her quote. But she's like, oh, maybe. And my thought is, and this is going to lead me to my next question here, is when I heard that from Oprah, I'm like, no. Basically, that "oh" expression out of your mouth was, oh, the bar's that low? We don't need to lower the bar. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying if you're an entertainer, you can never be a politician. I think Al Franken has done a fabulous job as a congressman from Minnesota. But, you know, vice versa, Jesse the Body Ventura is a conspiracy theorist whack job who was also from the same state that was, you know, a wrestler before. So, I mean, it goes either way. I think you need to judge it. But this leads me into my second question here. What are your thoughts on, should the public judge celebrities based on their work, based on as an artist, or based on themselves as a person, or do you think there should be a little bit of both there?
Well, I mean, the way I try to live my life is not to judge anybody. But, you know, it's 2017, so good luck with that.
Right.
Listen, I'll make it a very simple thing for you. You ever been to Subway?
Sure.
All right. You ever got somebody that worked at Subway that made the sandwich really good?
as good as it can get for Subway, sure.
All right. Have you ever had somebody at Subway make you a sandwich and it wasn't that good? They made it bad.
Yeah.
All right. So, how do you judge that?
How do I judge Subway as a whole?
How do you judge the person that made you the sandwich?
Oh, well,
Here's a hint. By the way, they made the sandwich. Am I wrong?
no.
If you go in the Subway, the dude that's making it, you don't know him. What you know is he works at Subway. He's got a green visor on. He's standing between you and lunch. His job is to make you a sandwich by the requests you have made.
Right.
Then you pay him for the sandwich. Then you eat the sandwich. If you eat the sandwich and you don't like it, the tuna sour, the leaf, the lettuce was limp, whatever, you don't go back to Subway and go to that dude and say, you are a terrible person and you don't live your life correctly. And I do not agree with your morals and your politics. You don't all of a sudden go find that dude and look through his shit and find out where he lives and discover things about his life and then go back to Subway another day and said, "Oh, so I understand you cheated on your wife. Isn't that interesting? That makes you a terrible sandwich artist."
I
You don't do that, right?
I was just gonna say it's a horrible day for the sandwich artist.
Right. You don't do that. You take
So
the sandwich and you either like it or you don't, and that's it.
so I think correct me if I'm wrong. I think the point you're making here is you make a shit movie as an actor. Don't hold it against them the next round. Is that your point?
It's a job. What people Here's the thing that people don't understand, and this is the problem with like networks like E Entertainment and Entertainment and all that shit. They show you all of this stuff, right? And they're showing it to people that live in a country, and most of the people that live in that country have nothing. They don't have any food. They're like broke. They're working five jobs. They still can't pay the rent. And then they turn on the TV and they see Kim Kardashian like wiping her ass with gold.
Yeah.
It's going to piss them off.
Of course it should.
It's
Pisses me
going
off.
it's going to. You can't show somebody. It's like anything else. If you are at work and you work the same job as the dude next to you, and then the dude next to you shows up at work with a fucking Bentley. And he's like, "Oh man, it was so crazy because like my mom had like this crazy like uncle and he died and I got this windfall and then he had a Bentley and he like, check out my Bentley, dude. Isn't my Bentley cool?" Now, a well-adjusted person can just be happy for this windfall.
Not like
But
fuck that
most
guy.
Yeah, that's what most people are going to do. That's where
Right.
most of us are. That's where most of us are. So most of us can't understand or handle or deal with the fact that there are folks that are doing things and they're doing them at a higher level that we are. And
Yeah,
that pisses
yeah.
them off.
I no, I that pisses me off as well. I have similar conversations with Republicans and conservatives that I know, where I consistently have to scream at them just mainly to make myself feel better, I guess, because my point never gets across that somebody else's gain is not your personal loss. I
But
find
see,
myself having to tell people that on a regular basis.
right. But see, that's what I'm saying. Like, we're so conditioned to fight all of this stuff that we don't agree with.
Right.
We don't understand that it's not necessary because nothing changes the truth. Someone can lie to you as much as they want, but it doesn't change the truth. Someone can tell you time and time again that 6 plus 3 equals 10. It don't change the fact that it's 9. You yelling at them about it won't change the fact that it's 9.
Are we talking about fake news and alternative facts now?
No, we're talking about life in general.
No,
See,
sure.
it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that, like that's the thing. Like we are so caught up in the fact that like things have to be the way we want them to be that we're completely blind to everything else. Somebody can tell you that 7 plus 2 also equals 9, and you tell them they're full of shit because the only way you know how to make 9 is 6 plus 3. So you'll never be able to handle somebody who does 8 plus 1. Somebody comes along and says 9 plus 0, forget it.
Oh,
Because we're
those are
so.
bastards. Those fucking
But
people.
yeah, there you go. That's where we are. We're in a complete like complainy, whiny,
My way or the highway.
entitlement, my way or the highway. And that's why Trump got elected, because we got the president that we deserve. We have a reality TV show president
Oh
because
man.
that's who we are as a fucking society.
Ah.
Until we can fucking grow. See, that's the thing. Nobody wants to look
No,
at
no, no, no,
themselves
no,
and
no,
say,
no, no.
you know what I mean?
Look. I on this show, I have said that prior to the election over and over again. And
Yeah.
you're one of the only people that I've heard actually say that.
Yeah.
That we're gonna get the president we deserve. And what I was hoping is, throughout the primaries. See, I was a big Bernie guy.
Yeah.
I'd have taken Hillary over Trump, but I'm not a Hillary fan. I think Hillary has done amazing things, but I think somewhere along the way, she lost it. The money got a hold of her. The corporate elitism got a hold of her along the way. But
Somewhere along the way, like try back in the 70s, dude. Come on, let's be honest.
No, of course, I totally get it. But there is something to be said for a female going to China and in front of the Chinese government saying, human rights are women's rights. She has done some great things. She's done some great things for underprivileged kids and fighting for minorities, that sort of thing. I'm not taking any of that away from her. However, she did lose her way somewhere. But I had said all throughout this election on this show and off that we'll get the president that we deserve. And what I was hoping for is I was hoping that we just deserved Trump getting close. I was hoping we hadn't gotten to the point to where we actually deserved him for the next 4 years or until he dies, if he turns into a full-fledged dictatorship. But
here's the thing. First of all, that ain't never gonna happen because there's way too many fucking. He can't even get the band to stick. How's he gonna become a dictator? It's not how government.
It's not going well. It's not going well for him, and I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Oh, but here's okay. So here's the thing. So now that you said that, Nicole Kidman, who admittedly is Australian, or I think she's Australian, and Matthew McConaughey, who is very American, have both said publicly, listen, he's the president now. So we have to give him a chance. We've got to some way figure out a way to help the guy, and because if he fails, we all fail. Both of these people have been waylaid and attacked on Twitter by several people that are equally famous, people that are supposedly very, very, very liberal, who have like threatened them with violence simply because they said a truth that is something that we all need to actually take a consideration. People are sitting there going, oh man, look at Trump. He can't do this. He can't do that. He's going to fail. I love it. Guess what? He's still the president of the United States. If he goes down in a flame of glory, the whole country goes down in the same flame.
See, I get the point. And I would be there if this was, W or Mitt Romney. But where I'm at with Trump is you are correct in the sense that there is no way for America to, as a whole, to exit this Trump presidency whenever that takes place unscathed. There's no way. We have to take a hit. We have to take responsibility, and that goes along with getting the president that we deserve.
Right.
So I'm with you. I'm with you there. However, give him a chance. Like I get it. However, the guy's doing everything he pretty much said he was going to do. I mean, our motto on the show so far has been, well, no shit. Whoa, he's actually building the wall? Well, yeah, he fucking told you for a year and a half that he was going to build the goddamn wall, and you're shocked?
That's the thing. Like, he's talking about it, just like he talked about it, but there's no wall being built. There's too much bureaucracy he's got to go through. This is the thing everybody forgets or even doesn't pay attention to when it comes to the president. The president don't run the fucking country. Let's just be honest with it.
And again, they can't order wiretaps either.
No,
Somebody needs to tell him that.
he can't do it. Everything he's throwing these executive orders out because he thought that the president ran the country.
Right.
He thought he was going to go in, he was going to say do this, and they were going to do it, and they're not doing it because there's this thing. It's called Congress. It runs the country. The House of Representatives, they run the country. The president is your prom king. That's just the guy who won the prom. That's it. He can go in there and he can say, well, I think we should do this. And then 50 fucking people go, all right, we'll take that under advisement. And then they have the power to veto anything he wants to do. Then if he don't like it, then he gets to make another appeal, just like anybody else who goes to court and loses a fucking case.
Or blame the judge.
Yeah. Or blame whatever they want to do. So he's got to go back. If it doesn't work then he throws down an executive order. But the problem with the executive orders, like he learned with the travel ban, is that federal judges, can block those fucking things.
Right.
So he's not running the country. Everybody needs to just chill out. He has not that much power. Not to do the stuff everybody's afraid of him doing.
Yeah,
he's not become.
You know, and the worst things that he's done so far that he's able to get done. You know, there are some executive orders that he is able to that he is able to put forth. I mean, you know,
he can hire people. He can hire.
Well, you know, there's the executive order about being able to dump coal waste into water streams. And, right. You know, there's also, you know, transgender bathrooms are going to be something. And we're forgetting, too, that in a sense that, you know, yes, Congress, there is a checks and balances. The problem is that checks and balances is pretty thin right now with a dominantly held Congress that's Republican.
But here's the other thing, though. Here's the other thing. And this is the other thing people always never pay attention to. He's got 4 years in his first term, right?
Right.
So let's go back in time. Remember when the towers went down?
I think everybody that was alive that day does. Yeah.
So the towers go down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bush just got in office. He just got in office, right?
About 8 months, yeah.
Who took the blame?
It depends on who you talk to, but yeah, I think you're going with Bush.
Bush took the heat.
Yeah.
Everybody said Bush wanted a war. Now we have a war. This is the thing. He didn't have time. That's what no one really understands. He didn't have time to do enough shit to start a war. You know who did have enough time? Clinton. With his horrible foreign policy the 8 years before Bush.
Yeah.
So what the thing is, when you get in office, you have 4 years. You spend most of that time cleaning out all the shit that the person that was in there before you had.
Yeah, and they're having a major time with that with Obamacare. But I mean, I think where people blame Bush the most isn't necessarily. I mean, the reason people blame Bush for September 11th is because it was given to him in an intelligence briefing back in June of 2001. That you know, so there was an intelligence briefing, and that's why it scares the shit out of everybody that Trump's intelligence briefings are coming from Fox News. But anyway,
I totally understand it. But my thing is this: in order for him to get the intelligence briefing in June, someone had to have done some shit to create that before he got in office, and that's what I'm saying.
I see your point. Yeah.
Attention to. People want to blame the thing that's right in front of them. If they don't agree with it, they don't understand. And look at Obama. Like, as much as people loved Obama, how many executive orders did Obama put through in his last fucking month in office? He knew he was going to do it because he knew Trump was going to have to take the time to clean that shit out.
Right.
He knew that's what you do.
Making national monuments and everything to preserve.
That's what they did. Yeah. He was throwing executive orders out everywhere because you make as big of a mess as you possibly can so that the new guy has to carry on your shit.
Well,
Obamacare is not Obamacare. That's left over from fucking Clinton's healthcare plan that he couldn't get finished because he was too busy playing the saxophone on the Arsenio Hall show. So it's all shit that they all have to clean out. So Trump's got a whole lot of shit that he's got to clean out first, and he's spending way too much time on Twitter to even get that done. So everybody can just sort of relax a little bit. Things are not, the world's not going to blow up. He's not going to do all this stuff that's going to like end the world. And there are so many people that are in office, that are in public opinion, that are actually out and they're like fighting and opposing and they're protesting peacefully. It's like everybody's afraid he's just going to walk in and all of a sudden it's going to be Nazi Germany in the 30s. And that's just not how it works.
well, speaking of politics, we'll jump back to that. Let's get back to where we were here. So we left off on the film side.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, we digressed a bit. We left off on the film side talking about basically
The black thing.
the black thing. No, not exactly. More about how to should an artist be judged for their art or for their like activism on the side. So we discussed pretty much don't every actor has terrible movies, every director has a bad movie, like it happens. Right. Understood, it's a job, and some actors have shitty days at work too. But more so, where do you fall on there are people out there for political reasons hate Sean Penn. Do you agree that if Sean Penn is in an amazing movie, Colors was a good movie, I thought. Do you think what is your opinion on whether or not that type of thing should be boycotted, regardless of how good the artist is at their craft? Hating on them for what they do in their personal life.
It's dumb.
Yeah?
It's dumb. Like, who cares? You think Sean Penn gives a shit?
No, not really.
A perfect example of this is Woody Allen, who I'm a very big fan of, but everybody believes is a pedophile because of the way the media spun what happened with him and his now wife and the other kids and all of that shit. Nobody actually like bothered to look at the actual court files and actually read the reports and find out what really happened. Somebody said something loud enough, and then everybody decided, oh, well, he's a pedophile. So now people are like, oh, Woody Allen shouldn't do this. Woody Allen can't do that. I can't believe I would never go see it. Oh, so it's totally okay to be a pedophile? Nobody said it's okay to be a pedophile. Me sitting at home and watching Manhattan doesn't make me like join Pedophiles Anonymous. They're not related to one another to me because I don't know the man.
Right.
He's not my friend. I don't know him. I don't know what he likes to do. I don't know which way he wipes his ass. I don't know anything about him. What I do know is that he makes movies I like. So I'm going to watch the movies I like. I'm going to deny myself some shit because some dude I don't know said something that I don't agree with.
That's
Who
a good
cares?
way to put it.
Who gives a shit? So Sean Penn did something that pissed people off. Like, oh, well, I don't like Sean Penn's politics. I'm not going to go see his movie. He don't give a shit. He don't know you either. You don't fucking know you. If enough people don't go to the movie, guess what? The movie flops. And then guess what? He goes and makes another. So what are you doing?
Right.
What's the accomplishment? The end game is like pointless.
Yeah, the reason I wanted to ask you this question is I remember a while back, years ago, when Pirates of the Caribbean 2 came out. And I was talking to somebody who had children that should have enjoyed that movie more than I did. And she was going to take them her kids to the movies. And I said, oh, you guys going to go see Pirates? And she's like, no. And what sucked was her son was like, yeah, Mom, I want to see Pirates, and all of his friends have seen it and all that shit. And she kind of pulled me aside. She's like, yeah, I don't, Johnny Depp is, I forget what she called him, something along the lines of un-American and traitor. So now their kids, her kids are going to be going to school, and all their friends are, and that was so annoying. I remember growing up, whether it was music or I remember with South Park. My mom wouldn't let me watch South Park for the first few months it was on, and so I'd go to school and hear worse than what was on that show. But it was really annoying, not being the one kid that didn't that I'm not trying to promote conformity here, but I mean there's a thing, when it's popular you want to check it out, and so I mean that's where this question came from, and part of me I'm totally with you, but there's a part of me that's like, fuck Ted Nugent. Like, there's a few people out there where I'm just like, the hell with these guys. Like, their public presence makes me want nothing to do with them artistically.
Okay, but here's the thing. The only reason that you know that they think this way is because of their art.
Good. Yes. I wouldn't know who they are, right? They'd just be some
The
fucking
guy
guy or
next
girl.
door, yeah, the guy next door to you, the guy that you go and you get your fucking latte from every morning. The guy that you like go and get your Subway sandwich from every morning might think the exact same way as Ted Nugent, but you don't know. You don't know him.
Good point.
But
So-
you don't stop going to Starbucks because you think maybe that guy, he's a redhead, so he might think that way. I ain't going to Starbucks no more. Nobody does that.
Don't even get me fucking started on gingers. Jesus
It's
Christ.
a done. See, there's a whole. Everybody's judging it. It's crazy. It's like it's a. Okay, so here's the thing, and I've said this before. The global hypocrisy to this is completely embodied in Santa Claus.
Wait, are we talking about this or religion?
No. We're talking about this.
Okay.
Religion is a whole other thing. But the global hypocrisy of I don't like this person. I won't see this person's film because I don't like the way this person thinks about whatever. That is complete global hypocrisy, which is completely embodied within Santa Claus. Every fucking adult knows that person does not exist. Every fucking adult. And every fucking adult that has a kid tells the kid, you better be good, Santa Claus won't come. That is a straight up fucking lie. You are lying to your child. You do it as early as possible because you want to have all the fucking pictures and you want to make sure that the kid goes to see the fucking red dude at the mall. That ain't Santa Claus. That's some drunk down the street that got a job.
And don't let it be a black guy.
Right. It doesn't matter because
Right.
it doesn't matter because it's a lie. Everybody knows it's a lie. But we shove this shit down kids' throats. We tell them do things based on a lie. Then we turn around and tell kids, don't you lie to me.
But it's all innocent, AJ. You got to understand. Yeah.
Is it?
It's
Is it?
It's so
Is it?
yeah,
Is it?
because it
How?
sets
How is
because it sets them up to believe in religion right afterwards. Because God's the same way. He knows when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows whether you've been bad or good. If you're naughty, Santa gives you coal. If you're naughty in God's eyes, you go to hell. Coal burns. And if you're good, you get gifts. And if you're in God's sense if you're in God's good graces, you get the gift of eternal life. It's the exact same thing. There's no difference. And like when anyway, that's a whole nother topic.
but I put it to you. I put it to you this way.
Yeah.
Give me a guy you hate.
Publicly?
Yeah.
Mitch fucking McConnell. I hate that.
No. He's a politician. Give me a celebrity.
Okay, I got you.
Give me a celebrity.
A celebrity that I hate. See, but I'm along the same lines as you. There's not really a whole lot of them that I hate. I'm drawing a blank.
We'll go with Ted Nugent. We'll go with Ted Nugent.
Yeah, fuck Ted
right?
Nugent.
So you said so. Fuck
Yeah,
Ted
sure.
Nugent. All right. You don't know Ted Nugent. Ted Nugent don't know you, right?
Right.
So you also said earlier that you're a drummer. So let's say that for whatever reason, Ted Nugent saw you drumming and was like, you know what? That dude's really good. And then you get a message, either by email or phone or text or whatever. Ted Nugent has just bought you the most killer drum set ever because he thinks you're fucking great on the drums. What you gonna do? Turn that shit away because Ted Nugent gave it to you and fuck that guy?
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
Why
if
would
it,
you?
If it was a guitar, probably, but drums.
Why? Why? That's like it's a dumb thing. So what ends
I
up
got you.
happening? Does it hurt Ted Nugent? No, it hurts you. You're the one walking around hurt. You're the one walking around all pissed off. Ted Nugent. Who the hell he think he is? Give me a drum set. I ain't no whore. He can't buy my.
I ain't got cat scratch fever. God damn it! Fuck that great white buffalo. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, I
So
got you.
we're so invested and involved in things that don't matter and only hurt us that we can't even see the bigger picture.
Well,
And
let me see if this matters. So let's get back to your field of expertise here. So after the big fuck up at the Oscars, um,
oh
how
yeah,
did,
which I did see
which
because I didn't watch the Oscars.
I know you don't watch award shows.
Yeah.
But Moonlight, the
Yes,
first all black cast about a black transgender main character.
right. Was he gay
This
or just was he transgender or was he gay? Oh,
I
it
thought he
doesn't
was
matter.
trans. He's one or the other. He's one of the acronyms of the LGBT, right? So,
Right.
so it's kind of a double whammy, right? We
Yeah.
have a minority character who I'm sure there's going to be minority issues that black citizens face in this country for whatever given whatever circumstances, and then on top of that you have either gay or transgender, one of the two. Um, is that progress? That they won the Oscar? Does that mean anything? Why or why not? All right, I already knew the answer to this one. All right, go ahead, have at it.
All right, so here's the thing. I'm gonna go back to Obama real quick to answer this question. Obama won because people were like, a black dude or a chick? Fuck it, I ain't ready for a chick. Let's go with the dude. At least he got a penis. But because they went with him, they expected more of him than they did all the ones in the past. This dude was supposed to be like the second coming of Christ. And black people thought it was just going to be Black People Day for fucking 4 years. They forgot the fact that he's the president of the United States. He's got to serve the entire fucking country. So that's what he did. And the minute he did it, all the black people got mad. So, to answer your question, so much noise has been made in the past, like 2 or 3 years, when it comes to the Oscars. Of course, Moonlight was going to win. What are you going to do? Not give the movie that was made for $1.5 million and produced by Brad Pitt and had an all black cast and a black lead that was also gay and not give it the Oscar after everybody's on the fucking Twitter going hashtag Oscar so white?
Yeah,
How are they not going to give it the Oscar?
no, you're right, and this was my point about it. My big issues this award season, Grammys and Academy. I'll start with the Grammys. And I don't really watch. I watch award shows for the podcast now. I used to love them. I mean, the Oscars. I mean, they were my Super Bowl because I didn't watch football for so long, and I was really entrenched in film for a while when I was living in L.A. Now I watch them for the show, and starting with the Grammys, the problem I had with, and this goes back to our conversation before this, is if you're not using your art, especially with music, as actors, you get to choose your roles, but you don't get to make your roles. Unless you're putting on the director's hat as well and the writer's cap. I mean, for the most part, when you're an actor, you don't choose your story. You pick your roles, right? So when it comes to music, though, don't get up on that fucking stage and start talking about Donald Trump. Don't go up there and blast him. Nobody wants to fucking hear it. Unless you're John fucking Lennon. Or, at the Grammys specifically, A Tribe Called Quest. If your art is reflecting your public appearance and you are using your art, because I've said before that I wish we had Creedence and Hendrix and John Lennon and Phil Oakes and fucking Bob Dylan. I wish we had those guys now. There's a huge protest genre of music that can be had right now, and nobody's really doing it. But there are a few. That was my issue with the Grammys. Everybody got up there and said something, and it's like, your words mean nothing. Go write a fucking song about it. Make your message fucking popular. Fight the message from the other people, which I know is probably adding to the noise that you were referring to. But when it came to the Oscars, my issue with what happened at the Oscars, because Moonlight, that wasn't their only Oscar. They won Best Director, I think, as well.
That was Damien Chazelle.
Or was that fucking... It was
Well,
It was Black
uh,
Oscars this year, right? I mean, it was huge. And my thought was, is this is only because of the hashtag Oscars so white shit of 2016. So one of two things has to be true here. Either black people just learned how to be good filmmakers and actors, or the Oscars have been bullshit this entire fucking time.
well,
I don't see any other conclusion there.
well, here's the thing. First of all, the Oscars are complete bullshit. It's just a fucking party. It's just a party for rich people to go. Look how great we are. We all know this. That's what that is.
People serving in the street. Let's pass each other gold statues.
Yeah, that's it. It's not about anything else. That's not the issue. The issue here is not Moonlight. It's not about whether or not Moonlight makes progress because on just that film and that win, it didn't. It no, it doesn't. Nothing progresses anything. This is what happens. What happens is people will blame black actors and they'll blame black filmmakers, and they'll say, well, these people they're not making the films. In reference to your first assessment that maybe black people just figured out how to be good.
Yeah,
and that's not the truth either.
Right. No, that was sarcasm.
The truth is this. This whole thing runs on money. So your money is worth what you spend it on, right?
Right.
So the progress comes when films made by black filmmakers that have black folks in their cast are funded. So getting mad at the Academy is pointless. The Academy don't fund the films.
Right.
Getting mad at directors is pointless. They don't fund the films. You want to get mad at somebody, get mad at the studio executives that control the funds.
And the producers.
No.
No?
Not even the producers.
Really?
No. Because they don't fund the movies. They run the movies, but they don't necessarily fund the movies. Producers still got to go out and get money. So if you're a producer and you got a great script with a black cast and you pitch that to a bunch of people in China who don't want to give you no money, you can't make that movie. So you have to go back to where the money is spent. That's the problem. That's where progress is going to happen. Kicking people out of the Academy just because they're 70 and they're white and replacing them with people who are 40 and black won't change anything. Nobody can vote for a black film if they don't make but one. You can't, nothing changes. Films have to actually get made different.
Well, and not to mention, I mean, it's what you said at the beginning of this topic, which was, how are you not going to award it to Moonlight? Didn't the same thing happen with 12 Years a Slave, right? So
it's a political,
yeah. So it's a guilt vote. It's a pity vote, is what it seems to be to me. But
well, I wouldn't go so far as to call it a pity vote because I believe that the guy I've seen interviews with Barry,
right,
who directed and wrote the film, and the guy does. It's not like he didn't deserve the award.
No, and that's not what I'm saying. But maybe pity's the wrong word. Maybe guilt of some kind. To me, it just seems like after so many years. I mean, what was this? The 70 what Academy Award? Academy Award ceremony. I mean, it seems like after so many years, they just turned on a dime, and to me, it just seems so obvious. But
well, that's because there was no Twitter back in the day. There weren't people sitting around going #Oscars go white. Nobody was being shamed for anything.
Right.
It all comes about.
So now, when you and I first spoke off air, when we were talking about doing this interview, this is the part of the interview that we've been waiting for here. What are your thoughts on, basically what can Hollywood do to improve its image moving forward, other than, as we already discussed, the Oscars being, ridiculous for one reason or another, other than doing stuff like that that's blatantly obvious? What can Hollywood do moving forward